Hello, welcome to another Bedroom Guru. It's been a while, hasn't it? I think one of it's hot weather because you're just too tired. You are with ME anyway. And obviously, as you almost probably know from my magazine columns and Facebook and goodness knows what, I'm moving. So my energy's literally been resting and packing. And I swear, if I see another box after this, I'm going to just most probably jump off the nearest cliff. So apologies for not being about recently. However, I've had a few emails over the last couple of weeks, and a lot of people are asking about how they find their divine path and how they, go forward and how do they know someone's looking after them. And I was inspired to talk about spirit guides today. There's lots of ways to perceive spirit guides, because when you see things on the television like, oh, my guide is saying this, you think, oh, God, whatever, and some of them are almost laughed at, because people make them so human. But they are there. We all have them. Oh, sorry about that. We all have them. And it depends really on our awareness and our spiritual knowledge as to whether we can sense their presence or not. Some people are totally aware of who they are, where they've come from, and I'm very lucky because as an ambassador and as someone that obviously has to share my knowledge, which is part of my job to humankind, they've given me a very comprehensive understanding of who my guides are, why they're here, and how I know them in previous lives. Obviously, so I can tell you, and everybody says, oh yeah, well, how does that work? And I think I've told you about the Italian adventure, but I will recap on it in this video. Guides are basically, if you remember the video about when I've been up to the spirit world, up to the angel realms, there is a place called the Halls of Learning. And I remember once when I walked into the Halls of Learning, it's a big, I think I've told you before, it's a big black and white checkered tiled hallway with a statue of Adam and Eve. And on the side are all of the Akashic Record members, people that have made a change in the universe for whatever reason. And I found Harold Truman. I copped that name as I was going along all the plaques. You've obviously got Archangel Metatron that's there, who obviously is the scribe and writes the Book of Souls. But also I remember walking through to another energy layer, which to me was just a doorway. So it's easy, they do a man map so that I can explain it to you a lot easier. And as I walked in, I kind of got this whisper to say this is where, like almost like where the guides hang out. It's like the guides' common room. And the energy, I can just remember hearing mutterings and feelings and thoughts, and it was almost like the heartbeat of the universe, of people, and the consciousnesses that were being brought up and brought down again, and the guides that were responsible for that soul listening and reacting to it. It was like, it's the easiest way I can describe it, because really trying to describe these sort of things is pretty impossible because it's just mind-blowing. It's so hard to describe. And I sat in this layer of energy and they explained the process of spirit guides, which incorporated my video, if you remember, about soul clusters and about when we come down. So for whatever reason in our soul cluster there will always be someone, most guides, we're going to just stick with spirit guides today, not guardian angels or involve celestial energies here. We're talking about just straightforward spirit guides that look after us. Most of them, or all of them as far as I'm aware, have had an earth incarnation, and generally they would have shared a lifetime or a multitude of lifetimes with us. And so basically, I don't know how it works. I've got to say, it could just be right from the beginning of the creation of the soul cluster. There is an agreement that a certain energy that you've connected with in a lifetime will look after you in lifetimes after. So what I assume from that is that someone with a lot of an older or higher learning comes into the soul cluster purely to look after a soul on the earth plane. So they've done what they needed to do on the earth, and now they're saying, well, we don't want to be bored up here, so we're a higher enlightened being, so we're going to now guide humans down there to continue the legacy of spiritual knowledge and spiritual understanding. And so, to be honest with you, you know, right from the get-go, from my teens, I thought guides were a load of old pants. Oh, my spirit guide and my gatekeeper. Oh my God, I hate that saying so much. My gatekeeper reminds me of Ghostbusters. Are you the gatekeeper? I can't stand that. Oh, people say, oh, my gatekeeper. I think, oh God, I hate that saying. Anyway, basically, your spirit guides elect themselves to look over you. You know, you may have had a really, really close connection in a past life, and that's how it happens. So I'm going to explain my three to you, just to give you the grounded version of what guides are, because, you know, I didn't ask for them. I didn't aspire to have a spirit guide because I'm a psychic medium. They just turned up, and I thought, oh, that's you then. So if we start with my absolute favourite, my most powerful one is Juliana's. He's my soul guide. Most of us literally have, like a babysitter if you want, a soul guide. Well, we all do. And they basically take us through the whole experience. So before we go down, they say, right, I'm going to be looking after you. This is your life map. And if you start veering off it, I'm going to have to make some pretty big changes. Because as you remember, when I talk about the lion and the mouse, you know, the higher divine energy is the mouse. The lower ego part of our chakral systems is used to obviously get around the planet and to deal with, you know, human issues. The lion roars. We end up going with our gut instead of actually listening to the divine inspiration from our heart upwards. And we totally go wrong on a different path. So they're like... So they try and bring us signs to head us off going down the wrong path, making the wrong decision, whatever it may be. And you'll get signs. And even though, have you ever done it, right, where you've got involved with someone, or you've, you know, started a new job, or you've moved house, and inside, right, there's a tiny voice saying this ain't right, but you talk yourself into it, and you say, no, this is good, because, and you almost have a battle inside, this tiny voice that says this ain't right. And then you find out the job's rubbish or whatever, you know, later on you think, I bloody knew it. Have you had that? You know? And that is that part of you that's saying don't do it. Part of it is obviously your guide imparting that inspiration, that knowledge to you that this ain't the right one. Sit and think about this, listen to your ego, listen to that divine voice, and you tell me which one's right. Because you really do know that the mouse is the right, that tiny little divine voice is the one that's right. But we go, no, I'm going to do this because, I'm going to do that because. And deep down inside, we know we're going to crash and burn, but we still do it. You know, I'm totally guilty of it. And at the end of the day, you know, your human chakral energy and your ego, to do with everything that you react to on the earth plane, it does overwhelm you, and it gives you weaknesses, and those choices that you make through that weakness will always come and bite you on the bum, basically. So they're there to kind of do things like don't do that, or they'll show you ways to avoid the situation. It's the same as, like, for instance, like moving. I know I keep going on about moving, but obviously it's a thing that's going on in my life at the moment, and it's huge for me. It's like, you know, the first house fell through, so rather than start going ballistic, which I did for a little while, I'm not going to lie, I thought, hang on a minute, there's a divine reason for this. So obviously something happened that wasn't right, and so part of the job of your spirit guide is to think, God, how are we going to work this one out? And so they start setting timelines and little links to make it right, so you get back on your path. The thing is, though, if we keep going against our divine voice and we keep going with our ego, then we will continually get lower and lower into a human situation that we're just stuck in, and we're not going to be content with and not happy. So you've got to try and get back to that source, which is what all the other videos are about heightening your vibration, sitting in your own power, and listening to that mouse, because that is your most important thing, is that divine inspiration, that one little thought that pops in your head that says do this, and then you ignore it. But if you actually did it, you'd find that you're on your right path. Does that make sense? So you've got to listen to the inner you. You've got to sit in silence. You've got to sit in nature and just think, right, where do I want to go with this? And really feel about what decisions you're going to make. They're amazing. You know, they create people coming into your life to help you. They'll create opportunities where you just think, oh, I'll turn left, and then you bump into someone. They always are creating and manipulating your thought process, coincidences, synchronicities to help you on your path, whether you know it or not. And the thing is if you're depressed or things are going wrong for you, because your energy is so dense, obviously you're creating that blockage to get that divine inspiration, help and guidance. And so you think you're alone. I went through it, I've told you before in another video, and you just think, oh, they're not there, there's nothing there, my life's rubbish, and then you just stay stuck in this blackness which you can't get out of, you know. And so that's what guides are there for. They're there to take us along. They warn us, they encourage us, they help us to be as happy as we can, because they know how hard it is down here as a spiritual person having a human experience. As you know, I've told you the story about Julianus. I used to do these meditations, and this scruffy old bloke in a brown clothy habit, right, with grey hair, he looked a bit like Steptoe, used to like sit there next to my nan and my dad. And I'm like, what are you doing here? I used to go to this little hut on this mountainside, and I didn't have a clue who he was. He just kept looking at me, and so I just assumed he was there. I didn't even think for a moment, oh, he's a guide or anything like that. Just didn't even think about it. Just wondered what he was doing sitting in the corner around this fire. It wasn't until when was it he actually introduced? Oh yeah, of course. It wasn't until I had an operation and was recovering and did a meditation, and I'm going to really skirt past this quickly because I've already told you about it. He showed me my previous life in Trastevere, Rome in 1542, and basically, that is right. Is it 1542 or 1742? I've got a mind block on my numbers. Oh bloody hell, I can't remember. 1752. Oh God, I can't remember. Anyway, it's written everywhere. I can't remember. I've just had a mind block. It's a bit of brain fog, loves. Gotta love you and me, haven't you? And basically, he showed me where we were, St Cecilia's Church, and he showed me Pope Nicholas V, who was presiding over us at the time, 1752. And basically, I decided, well, right, if I'm going to say to people that I've got a guide that comes from Trastevere, Rome, and I had a previous life as Mary in the house of Mary Magdalena, I better go and sort it out. So I did. I went to Rome, and I found St Cecilia's Church. I found Julianus. I found Pope Nicholas V, and as I've said, I've spoke about this already. So Julianus basically proved to me where we came from and how we connected with each other on the earth plane, and then he's obviously presided up there looking out for me ever since. With Julianus, as I say, he's my soul guide, so he's the one that takes me on my journey during this lifetime. And my God, he does tell me off. So many times he tells me off. Sometimes he'll let me know. He's chosen me like the Bible a lot, and he'll give me something like Corinthians 16, which I'm going to look up now because I don't know. I wonder what that means. Corinthians 16, right? And he'll do that, and then I read it from the Bible, and it's a message he gives me. So clever. Sometimes he does Psalms 23, which is always like, you know, someone's going to pass or someone's going to obviously, you know, be on their way. But that's normally when it's not like a shocker. It's like when I know that someone's passing and, you know, they're on their way out, and then he'll say, right, you know, don't worry, we've got this in hand. So I know that they're all looked after and they're going to be fine. He absolutely loves channeling through me. He loves me sitting in trance so that he can have a chat. He talks for England. He used to be quite scary and foreboding, but he's lightened up a bit recently. I think the last time I channeled him was about 2 or 3 years ago, which he really helped me a lot out with. He's sitting in the background at the moment because I'm going through a human experience with the move and everything. A lot of my energy, my chakra energy, is about planning the move, planning, you know, the stuff when I get there. So I haven't really been up in like a high spiritual energy for a while, which I hate. But I've got to do this, get it done with, and then I can get back into that as soon as I get there. And they're aware of that, so I haven't really heard from him for a while, but he's always there. The second person, I met him when I was at the Arthur Findlay College back in, blimey, 2006, 2007, something like that, and he's stunning. Khan is lolly. Basically, his tribal name is Hamhawk, and I met him in a trance dance. I was doing a trance dance, and he suddenly stood in front of me. Beautiful, stunning looking man. He's got the most beautiful blue emerald green eyes, this long dark hair. And I thought, oh God, here we go. I've got a Native American like every other bugger. And then he showed me like an eagle hawk or whatever it was. I don't know what it is, eagle hawk. And then he showed me the spirit totem, which that the hawk is basically the spirit totem of the shaman of the tribe. He then showed me the journey of how I knew him. I was his daughter, and the white men come and took our land in Arizona, during that time I was raped and murdered and bound by my wrists and left dead basically. He showed me this. He showed me the funeral preparations. He showed me where we lived. And he also said, why do you think in this lifetime you've been pushed to look after rape victims and murder victims, which is what I did in the police service. I'm like, oh my God. I've also got really weak wrists and I've broken one. I can't lean on them. I can't, like, if I have to get up, I can't do that. I have to do this. I've got really bad wrists. And he said, that's just a memory from your soul when you had your wrists bound. I'm like, oh my God, that's good. Then he used to call me Ann Carla, and I thought that was my name. So I was going around telling everybody my name's Ann Carla, right, from a previous, I think it's 1400s, from a previous life with Calm. And then a Native American come up to me once in a psychic fair and he goes, no, it means daughter. I was like, oh my God. So I said, okay, he's calling me daughter. That's fab, because he was my dad. He basically always is my healing soul. So if I've had a lot of stress or trauma, he always turns up. So any emotional stress, any even physical hurt, if I'm really bad on ME, he will come in and he stands there with this staff. It's just like a big hammer, really, whatever it is. And he stands there and he basically presides over my energy, staring into my face. Oh my God, he's so gorgeous. It's not even funny. I once asked him, I said, why have I got a Native American as well? He said, because we're the most enlightened, most spiritual people that connected to the universe and Mother Nature. And so we carry on wanting to preside over our legacy. I'm like, right, okay, then fair play. And I adore him and he's my healing man. So he comes in to look out for me. If I'm in a situation where there's negative people around me or there's negative circumstances going on, he will stand right next to me. I don't physically see him all the time. Mostly it's through meditation. I know when he's here because I get a sense of this compassionate love and caring, and I just want to cry. So I know that's when he's here that he does that. So yeah, he's here just for the healing. If I'm doing healing, he sometimes turns up. I'm doing a lot of fifth dimensional stuff. Kuan Yin has an input on my healing, but sometimes he will stand up and preside, or he will stand next to the angel that I'm working with when I'm doing the healing. So he turns up for that as well. And as I say, he's beautiful. I googled and researched everything he showed me in the meditations over the years, and everything down to preparations for the funeral, down to the bison that he called upon when my spirit was being taken up, down to the crude materials and the places we lived in were exactly the same as the tribe that he described when I researched it. So I'm like, this is impressive, because I don't know anything about Native Americans in respect of, how they lived, where they lived and what they did. And so that's how I learnt about Khan. His actual name's Karnunka, but I shorten it to Khan. I don't really use his tribal name. What also happened is, in the space of about 2 months, when I first met him in meditation, I think it was about 2 days after, I was sharing a room in the Arthur Findlay College with this beautiful girl. I think she was Dutch, and she said, I've just had to draw this, and she drew a picture of a Native American with this like hammer hulk with a hawk on it. It's like this long staff with a hawk on it, and she said, your guide's hammer hulk. And I thought, oh my God. And then when I was in my circle, the guide leader said, oh, you've got a new guide. And so she goes, he's lovely. And then she goes, oh, hammer hulk. And I was like, bloody hell. So 2 people had said it in the space of a couple of months. And I was like, oh, wow. Just to back it up that he was real. Do you know what I mean? So I've got him. Also, in another twist, another time that I went to Arthur Findlay College, I was... Oh, this is really quite embarrassing, actually. I've always been able to connect with spirit people. Arthur Findlay College, by the way, if you don't know about it, it's like a college for psychic studies in Stansted in Essex. It's okay. It's all right if you want to go and learn stuff. I'll leave it at that. So basically, I've always had the overwhelming spirit contact. So if I sit in front of someone, or when I did used to sit in front of people, I used to just see their spirit people around them. If you wanted me to ask, if you wanted me to blend with them and tell them about their life, career, future, I didn't have a bloody clue. So in this specific class that I was in, I had to do a psychic reading, and I was crap. I had absolutely no clue. I just sat in front of her and all I could see was a granddad, and I was going, oh, I've got your granddad. No, you've got to do psychic reading. You've just got to read the person in front of you. Couldn't do it. I ended up crying my eyes out and walking out of the bloody classroom like a div. And I feel so embarrassed about that. And I went upstairs and I started crying, and I just said, I'm rubbish. I said, I've been faking it. It's rubbish. I've just been luckily guessing dead people. This is all rubbish. And I really did go on one. And then I just sat there and I kind of half fell asleep and was half awake. And then this woman came in, right? Oh my God, again, stunning. She reminds me, do you know the Black Widow advert with the woman with the big black hood, big velvet black cloak? She came in and looked at me, right? And she had these rune stones in her hand, and she went, and as she blew them, they turned into doves. And she said, you now have the art of prophecy, and you now have the art to know of humankind. So I was like, right, okay then. So I didn't quite know what that meant. And then she was stood on a cliff. I'm wondering if it's Berry Head in Devon, because it felt very Cornish or Devon. You know, and I've got really, really strong roots to Cornwall from my childhood. And obviously Devon, there's something about Devon I adore. And I'm wondering if it is Berry Head from all of the things that I've, been through with her. Now, her name's Katherine, and I didn't go back to the class because I was a stubborn cow, listening to malign my ego because I was too embarrassed. And I was doing a circle. I remember going home and I was doing a circle, and 3 people in the room, right, which I was staggered, said, oh, this lady called Katherine was standing next to me in a black cloak. I'm like, holy pants. So I'm like, right, okay. So I started meditating and she started coming in. And the really weird thing with her, she was a healer. She escaped the witch inquisitions and stuff like that, but she was like a herbalist and a healer, and also a seer, and she actually lived to an old age. And what happens is with her, right, it's like when Julianus has got really something serious to tell me, he puts his hood on and I know that he means business, right? Same with her. But when I first saw it, I thought, what the hell? I was walking through a forest clearing, walked into this hut, and there was this haggard, it's like a hag sitting in the corner. I thought, oh my God, I'm going on into the dark side. Do you know what I mean? And she was just really, really withered. And I can't remember what was going on in my life, but it really wasn't a good time. And she just slammed this gold cup and went, drink. And I was like, oh my God, she's poisoning me. You know, she was like the old wicked witch in... what's it called? Hansel and Gretel. I was like, oh. So I went, okay then. So she took me out, right, to this, bench, and I drank this gold drink, right, and then I looked up and she started smiling, and then her face went to the young Katherine. I was like, oh my God, it's you. So when I need help, or she needs to sort me out and think, what have you done, or whatever it is, or if I need real strong solace or help, then she's the Haggard Lady, the healer, the witch in the woods. Very pagan roots connect with her. She's amazing. And then when she's just helping me with prophecy and predictions and things like that, then she's a beautiful Katherine. So it depends on how naughty I am, I think, as to who I see. Very shortly after that, I remember a person coming in. I had the Enigma Sanctuary then, a place at the bottom of my garden in Essex. And this woman came in for a reading. And I just said, Katherine, please. I said, I hope this works. And bang, I knew her past, present, future. And then I could see ailments in her body. And literally, that soul sitting in front of me was like a book. I could read it like a book. It was so easy. And I was like, thank you, darling. And she also allowed me, because after a while, after I got used to the fact that I could connect with human energies as easy as I could spirit people, I said, I want to see them a bit clearer, like my granddad could. So I remember one day I was doing a reading, and this spirit person just popped his head out through the wall. I went, oh my God. And then I could describe the man to a T. It was so brilliant. And I was like, I can see him, literally, because normally it's like in your mind's eye. And suddenly she'd given me the gift to be able to physically see spirit people as well, like human beings. She's a star, that one, I'll tell you that now. Again, I've tried to reconnect with where we're from, what year. She's like, she don't care about that. She doesn't care at all. She's like, well, I made my presence known with your circle members. I'm like, right, yeah, you did, because they all mentioned her name and described her. And she keeps popping up. And even one of my friends went and got a guide drawing done for me, and bugger me, I got it sent through the post, and it's her. In fact, I think I've packed it now. It's a drawing of Katherine, and at the bottom it says this lady's name begins with C, and it was talking all about Katherine. I couldn't believe it. And a psychic artist had done that, who didn't even know who it was for. It was for me, she didn't have a clue. So I've got a drawing of Katherine as well. So they're my guides. That's how they work with me. For you, it's going to be a very different process. There are, I've done a guided meditation CD on how to meet your guides, because they showed me a very easy visualization on how you can meet who's looking after you. So I've done that to help people find who their guides are. Any meditation that helps you find your guides is going to help you to discover your connection with them, guardian angels, all the rest of it. As I said, I'm not talking about guardian angels today, it's all about spirit guides. It doesn't matter if you don't know who they are or what their name is. You know, I've had students in the past say, oh, I don't know their name, I don't know that. It doesn't matter. They will introduce themselves to you when it's right. Normally, you'll find that if you're someone that isn't expressly developing and going to classes, it's normally a crisis in your life that will take place, that you'll suddenly start seeing the same name or seeing synchronicity surrounding a certain person, and they're trying to bring themselves in to say, you're really having a problem here, we need to come in and help you with that crisis. By all means, you can just sit there and ask. I'd like to know who my guide is. I really would like to connect with you. You can go to spiritualist centres, you can go to classes that will help you discover and understand who your guide is. But don't pressure it, they will decide to come into your life when it's right, okay? If you are progressing and developing, obviously you will get a connection with them. There's no doubt about that. You'll start seeing a stranger and think, who the bloody hell's that? And then eventually you'll realise it's one of your guides. So, again, it's all about going to classes, meditation, self-growth for you to, if you want to pursue knowing them. Most people, I don't say most people, but most young souls, the lower soul cluster forms, have got absolutely no idea they've got a soul guide. They really don't give a crap, and they go and do what they want to do in their material lives, and their guide just thinks, God, please hurry up and get a few incarnations under your belt so I can actually do something, because most of them are totally oblivious to the fact that a guide's there. They do try and impart very quick pops of information or ideas to help that person, but generally they're oblivious, the younger souls, that they've got soul guides. They just get on with it, think it's a load of crap, and don't even listen to them, even though they're there diligently trying to help them, and they still do. Also, you can get the odd guide that will jump in for a certain time in your life. Again, I can't even remember what it was. I've had so many traumas in my life, it's ridiculous, but I remember one time I needed to know about something, and this Chinese man popped in, and he gave me the philosophy of the carp. No, Tibetan. Was he Tibetan? Anyway, it was a Buddhist kind of thing, and he basically told me about the philosophy of the carp and philosophy of the lily pad, and the Buddhism part of being in the lower parts of the darkness of the pond and rising up, blah, 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 which is for another video. And I thought, God, that's really good. And I took that on board, and that took me through that time. Also, another time I asked my guides, and asked any of them randomly. Sometimes one will step in, and they all do. When they're all here, then there's really serious stuff going on. And I asked about how we can live a spiritual path. How do we know we're doing the right things? How do we know we've got it right? Because, we don't get a tick box or a star on a chart. And then a completely random one, and I've told you about him, Orlando Bloom from Lord of the Rings. Oh my God, lovely as well. They're all good-looking ones. Julianus, not so. And he came in and told me about the 4 T's that I've told you about: truth, trust, transformation, and truth, trust, transparency, and transition. I've told you about that in a previous one. And I've never seen him again. We were standing by this beautiful waterfall. It was very magical, very elfin. And it was stunning, and he told me that, and do you know what, that served me well. That has served me my whole life, the 4 TRs. And when something goes wrong in my life, there will always be one that I haven't adhered to. Normally truth to myself, that's the one. Were you true to yourself? Did you do this on ego, or did you do it for blah blah blah? So he just popped in. So you will get the odd one pop in, just to help you on a particular thing. Don't ask me why. I don't know why your allocated guides don't do that already, or perhaps they bring this fresh one in just to wake you up and make you realise you are being looked after. My lot are most probably on Valium up there, because the decisions I make in my life and the things that I do sometimes, I just must think, oh, for God's sake, Nick, sort it out. I must be a nightmare to him. I think it was like when I was in the police, I was a nightmare to supervise. And all my, supervisors, sergeants and inspectors are like, God, you're a nightmare. You're a good copper, but you're a nightmare. So I suppose it's kind of like that on this spiritual level. So be aware that they're there for you. As I say, once you start taking a path of discovering who they are, that's when the synchronicity will start, and you'll perhaps get the same name come up like me with the hammerhawk I said about. And someone even in a reading said, oh, who's Julius? They thought his name was Julius. I said, it's Julianus. It's Italian man, that's your guide. So people will start backing up who they are. You might also find, like I've said in when I've spoke about previous lives, you might find that you've had like a yearning, or you've got an obsession or an interest in a certain thing. So for instance, when I smell incense burning, it just makes me completely tingle and go, wow. And I've got this thing about churches, I've got this thing about crosses, and about sitting in churches. When I walk in a church I cry, and I don't know why. And cathedrals, and now I realise that part of that is because of my previous life as this nun, me a nun, with Julianus. Same thing with Native America. I've always wanted to go to Sedona. I've always wanted to go to the Native American sacred places. It's one of my ticky boxes, and I don't know why. I've just been absolutely obsessed with wanting to go there forever. And I have like Native American rattles here, and all the sage, and there's this old knowledge of Native America, and I don't know why, but obviously now I do. And again, I think with Katherine, I just keep getting pulled back to Devon and Cornwall, and I think that's where one of my homes was in a previous life. Well, I know it was actually, and basically I feel that is where I need to go back to, because that's where we were together, me and Katherine. So there will be certain things in your life that you'll find that you are attracted to, and you don't know why. Like, for instance, I know a lady who's got absolutely everything in the house is Egyptian, and she ain't got a clue. She's just absolutely obsessed with the place. And then it turns out when she started developing, she had an Egyptian guide, So then a lot will be explained as to what you like and what you don't like, and what you feel and what you do feel once you start connecting with these lovely people. Again, they don't mind if you don't. They know the score. They know what it's like to be a human down here. But I think they must rejoice when we do finally say, right, I'm here, what do you want me to do? How do you want to help me? And they're like, yay! So have a think about it. As I say, you can find guided meditations, or I've done that guided meditation for meeting your guides. Find workshops, about spirit guides and things like that, because once you've got an intimate relationship with your guide or guides, you can have any amount. There's one person I knew had about 8 or 9. I'm like, I don't know about that, but I can't limit my beliefs to what I think is right or wrong. But you can have 1, you can have 10, I don't know. And most of them will be just normal human beings. Some people have got just normal bloke who was a carpenter, or a normal bloke who was a garage attendant. They don't have to be anybody amazing. It's the experience and the history and the knowledge of their soul is what is the strength in all this that can help you while you're down here. Not if there was some guru or god or whatever. And I suppose they match your age of your soul, So some might be learning still, if you're a new soul, for instance, they might be going, I've only just started this spirit guide lark. But as I say, with mine, they're very old, learned, ascended masters. They're very, very knowledgeable. And as I said, Julianus gave me links and took me to the Akashic Records eventually, along with Khan, which is a book of the souls. And, there's such a deep depth with Julianus, because obviously there's this biblical, spiritual, religious connection with him. And I don't really believe in the gods that the Christians believe in. I'm not all that au fait with the Bible. I love the fact that he gives me directions through. Actually, should we do it now? Let's have a look. Let's see what Corinthians 16 is. No pressure. I wonder what it says. Because that just popped in my head. So it's obviously a reason for it. Let's have a look and see what it says. Corinthians 16. I've got a clue. Corinthians 16. A collection for the Lord's people. Do what I told the Galatian church to. On the first day of every week, each one of you should set aside a sum of money. Carry and keep with their income statement. So when I come, I collection. Hang on a minute. Oh no, that's the Greek one. I'm looking at the wrong one. Hang on. So this is the collection for the saints, and it's St. Paul's Council. Effective work to open to me. No concern. I strongly urge you. Be watchful, stand firm in your faith. Act like men, be strong. Let all that you do be done in love. Wow. So perhaps it's just about, I've just had a right pain in the bum thing happen with my moving. It's just, I'm getting a bit disillusioned with it all, to be honest with you. And it looks like it's just a thing to remember, to have faith. Stand firm in your faith. Be watchful, be strong. Let all that you do be done in love. It's totally relevant for me. Thank you. I know exactly what that means. I made a few wrong decisions the last couple of weeks, and he's answered the question, so that's really good. So anyway, going back to guides, embrace them, look out for them, try and make ways to connect with them. If you're already with them, by all means, if you've identified guides and you're developing, or you're spiritually aware and you know your guides already, sit with them. And if you're not in meditation, like I sometimes just sit there like I'm talking to someone in the room, and I just say, Julianus, I've had enough, blah 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 blah, or thank you for this, or I'm so excited about this, and you get an answer. You do get answers. They can be very subtle, or they can be right in your face. But I encourage you, please explore who's looking after you, because once you've got that sense of knowledge that they are there and they're looking after you, you will walk this path a lot more strongly, confidently, knowing that you're looked after, even if you're not looked after by humans. So I hope you've enjoyed my experiences with guides. Please, if you need any guidance or help, if you need any guidance or help, give us an email. Again, thank you so much for all your emails. And I'm I have so many emails saying how much you love my Diary of a Psychic. And I'm really pleased about that, because I didn't think, I don't know, perhaps it's my ego saying that I didn't think people would be interested in it. But I've had so many beautiful emails from you. So thank you. They make my day, And again, about the Guru videos, so many of you are saying how much they're helping you and how much you love them. So thank you for that. And as I always say, if you know anybody that could do with, my knowledge or guidance or help, if they want to give these a look, please just send them to them if it can help them. That's all I care about. So until the next time, go find your guides and let me know how you get on. And I hope to speak to you again very soon. Take care of yourselves. Stay strong. Stay in this energy of self-love, and please don't let the human world drag you down, because it can and it will. Find the light, find your guides, find the angels, and for goodness sake, stick with them, because they're the only thing that you can count on and bring you through any situation. Go steady, go with peace, and I'll speak to you soon. God bless. Bye.